here he is.
Sorry, guys. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, perfect. I think everyone's here. Good to see everyone who's joining us, and welcome to this new AMA. Our team has been really busy behind the scenes, and that's also why we have a lot to discuss today. And as always, we'll be giving updates about the project, and we'll be answering questions from the community. Let's kick it off. We were at the Game Developer Conference last week in San Francisco, and I'm sure Virgie would love to share his experience there.
Yeah, it's been about I think 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we were at GDC. Really interesting. The last time that I was personally there was in 2019, and I believe there was not a lot of mentioning of Web3 or blockchain games. And I would say this year, way more, at least 300%, 400% more. And looking at the expo, we saw a couple of booths, that are focused around Web3. We saw the Sandbox booth. We saw an FTX Solana booth where they also featured Panzerdogs. So there was much more also around the conference when you met up with, game developers. Everyone is at least considering, doing something in Web3. So yeah, the dynamic was way different than 2019, and I guess that's very positive for the ecosystem. And we've met a lot of great people. We had a great announcement doing together with Missile Labs with their Sui blockchain, where we revealed the Bored Ape import, which was a really cool thing to show off. We met up with Justin Kahn from Fractal, met with OpenSea, which will hopefully soon there will be an official announcement around the Solana launch, Solana support launch. Met up with fund manager for the private token rounds, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. Met up with the founder of Portals, which is so interesting to see, right? Because everyone is, grinding day in, day out to make their project successful. And I believe, and everyone's super supportive, a lot of positive energy. And, even talking to the Portals founder, I was asking him if he was going to the Solana party on Thursday evening, but didn't have time because he was still working on a lore for the Discord. So I guess, seeing this kind of energy, people working so hard in order to get successful, and making great products is really a big sign, I think, for the next couple of years. So, I got a lot of positive energy as well, meeting all these people. And obviously not to forget that we were at the Solana HQ offices, meeting a bunch of people over at Solana. Had a great conversation with them. One of the most interesting remarks, I think, during the conversation was that there were so many new game studios that were onboarding onto their ecosystem. And, and the funny thing is most of the game studios were asking, what's the playbook there? But yeah, I mean, there's no playbook in the crypto space. So, and I think that's why it is so exciting, right? Because we're basically inventing the wheel here and basically creating the playbook. And other than that, we also met up with, as I just mentioned, like fund managers, but also, let's say, the founder of Play Ventures, which is a very well-known VC in the gaming space. They have a portfolio of over, I believe, 80 gaming studios all over the world. They had some really great exits, and they're also focusing on Web3, And the funny thing is, like, they're seeing Panzerdogs or making Panzerdogs as an example towards other gaming studios, which we find quite interesting as we are still, still figuring out a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's again really exciting, and I think for the next couple of years, the more and more gaming studios will talk about Web3, and Web3 will take a bigger spot during GDCs in the future.
Yeah, definitely exciting stuff. Next topic I want to discuss is actually something we would like to ask the community. After the tournaments we did, we're seeing a lot of less activity in our alpha build, and we're wondering inside the team what the best way is to solve this.
Yeah, so we have a couple of ideas around that. I mean, obviously, it makes a lot of sense that there's less activity after not having leaderboard prizes. And so there's a good chance that you're playing now against bots. We did a poll on Discord, and it's interesting to see that people want to have NFT prizes, or want to see NFT prizes. So we're starting next week, hopefully, again with new leaderboard prizes. And so far, we are seeing really great metrics from Season 0. We can dive a little bit deeper on that later, but people are really enjoying it. And yeah, we are also enjoying seeing all these great feedback from the community. So we encourage people, to keep playing and give us feedback as much as possible so that we can keep improving. But so far, so good. This is just a plain version of what's to come for the next couple of months. And if this is the starting point, then yeah, we are, heading off with a really, really great start. So again, thank you all for playing, and yeah, we're really excited for the next couple of builds.
Yeah, and be sure to share your thoughts on this after we did the updates. We love to hear it. Another big discussion point in our Discord came after we updated the white paper. We updated the tokenomics. Can you tell something more about that, Hergy?
Yeah, so we updated the white paper. We moved from the PDF version to Gitbook. It's something that it's not that difficult or something, but we noticed that it's much easier for us to update. So that's one of the first things that we did. We moved to Gitbook. It's much clearer to everyone and easier to read, and again, easier to update. One of the biggest new add was the distribution pie of our tokenomics. The first white paper had sort of like a tentative distribution. It was actually written and has been updated from the very first white paper, where we also mentioned that it is tentative and that we are still in discussion with our advisors on how to do the tokenomics. And the final distribution of the tokens is now available. So if you haven't seen it yet, we recommend to go to our website, panzerdogs.io, and go to the white paper. And I think the biggest difference in the distribution pie is that we've added new categories like the distribution to the strategic and private round, which means the token sale to investors. And again, GDC was this was a big subject during GDC. We've talked to a lot of investors that are interested, who can support us in our journey in order to make Panzerdogs even more successful than it is now, and get us and also giving us a lot of support in terms of networking. Then liquidity has been added, game development, and the public sale. So this was all in conjunction with our advisors, and the foundation of all the reasoning is that we are aiming obviously for the long-term success of this project. As an example, as you can see in the white paper, the vesting periods are, for example, 4 years, which means that investors and internal teams are not able to sell all of their tokens for a period of 4 years. So I would say, if you have the time, go to our website, read the white paper. If you have any questions, head over to our Discord, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
And then there's another quick update I want to give. I know a lot of people are waiting for merchandise to drop. I can announce that we're launching our first merchandise this month, and this will be a limited supply of hoodies. Keep an eye on our social media for updates on this. Another update is that we're launching on OpenSea very soon. I can't tell exactly when, but this is huge news for the Solana ecosystem. OpenSea is currently the world's biggest NFT marketplace. In comparison, it has done 200 billion in sales volume to date, while Magic Eden, which currently holds up to 90% of all Solana sales, has done 980 million in sales. So this is huge news, and our collections will be there soon. Then another news item I want to discuss, we're launching the Garage Build very soon. I think Henry can tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I want to talk about what this build has. So the primary thing is it's going to allow you to design and play with custom tanks that use any of the parts in your currently owned tank NFTs. So we wanted to do this to allow you guys to begin experimenting with like builds and certain combinations of parts. And it should give us some really good information about game balance and get some feedback on certain part combinations and such. Because we know we're pretty well balanced already with random configurations, but as soon as players have the opportunity to pick and choose, it's a different beast all entirely. So yeah, this actual combination of parts and stuff it's gonna function differently to how it will work in the future. So in the future, you'll need to deconstruct a tank in order to get the parts out of it, and then you can design tanks out of those parts that you've got from your deconstructed tank. The reason we can do this now without this step is because all of our customization is going to be happening off-chain. In the future, we'll need to secure it, and so that's the reason why we're going to have the extra step, so we can ensure the owners actually have the parts. Hope that makes sense. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be crazy to see some of the fascinating builds people come up with. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to launch it. Then we have some questions from the community. Let me go to the questions. First question: how will the current dog tank staking evolve after IDO? For example, does it remain the same, but with earning Panzer instead?
Okay, so the staking was we introduced the staking because we couldn't launch the Panzer token itself. So our intention is to.
You're really muffled, Arjen. You're hard to understand.
Sorry, is this better?
Not much better, but it's slightly better.
Wait. Is this better?
No, still very muffled.
Okay. Okay, so.
That's much better.
Okay, so our plan is to phase out staking. So after the IDO has been done, there's not going to be any more rewards. You can still just safely keep your dogs in there and unstake them. So it's not like you're going to lose anything. Yeah, but that's our intention. So we don't want to dilute the utility of our tokens too much. So this is why we're phasing it out.
Next question: how will skins work in crafting?
Okay, so skins are essentially tank parts as well, but they function slightly different. So they won't be burnable through crafting, and you can't craft them explicitly. But they're kind of like a bonus. So whenever you craft, you will randomly be able to get skins, and you also get them randomly from rewards.
All right. Next question about OpenSea. What exactly does it mean being a featured collection on OpenSea?
I'll take this. I'll take this question. Unfortunately, we cannot comment on anything related to the OpenSea launch. So, yeah, the only thing that we can say is that we are a launch partner, and hopefully it will launch soon. So just keep an open eye to the OpenSea webpage, and just keep refreshing. Sorry, we just we cannot say anything, unfortunately, about the anything related to OpenSea launch.
Yeah, you can be sure to go crazy as soon as it's up there. It's quite a massive thing to happen. So
Yeah. Everyone is super excited.
it's like a ticking time bomb, really.
Yeah, and there might be some tweets already out. So maybe look at those tweets, but we're trying to be the good boy in the class. So just look at some other tweets.
All right. Okay, next question. How has the estimated 1.5 million figure for the token pool been calculated? What is it based on?
Yeah, very, very good question. So a while back, actually, in a Medium post, we mentioned that around $1.5 million is allocated to the token airdrop and the pre-IDO allocation. So, I mean, and this is based on the valuations of the private sale rounds that we have planned. So basically what we're doing is we'll calculate the total valuation and divide that by the total supply of 2.5 billion. And then you have the token price. If you then multiply that token price by the amount of tokens that are sold, not sold, that are available for the airdrop and pre-IDO allocation, then you come up with that figure. So that is not set in stone, but that is the planning that the total estimated figure is around $1.5 million that will be available for the airdrop and pre-IDO location.
Okay, another good question. Are there any plans to incorporate Panzerdogs into Fragbite hosted esports tournaments?
Yeah, good question again. When esports instead of when token? This is in the works, and I mean, rest assured that this is definitely planned on for later this year. And just as an FYI, we see esports as an organic user acquisition channel, which adds brand recognition for the project. But in order for this project to be an esports game, it needs to have way more body. So we're heavily focusing on game development, and we've always mentioned also in our white paper, games comes first, blockchain is second. There's a lot of features that we still want to build in order to execute on the esports. In order for Panzerdogs to become an esports game. But however, I mean, once we're ready, it's just a matter of plug and play as we have direct connection with the CEO and top level people at Fragbite.
Yeah, so another little remark on that. In terms of like the design, we've been taking feedback from some individuals with a lot of knowledge about creating esports titles. And we're doing a lot of experimentation with some new mechanics and design elements that should lean heavier into the more esports or team play side of things, which is turning out pretty cool. And we'll have more to talk about that in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, let's keep that for for the next weeks. Yeah, it's very exciting, guys.
Definitely. Yeah, if anyone who's in here has any questions, please raise your hand and we'll add you as a speaker and try to answer your question.
I can see some questions inside of the Discord as well.
Yeah, we can also start with answering those. Let me see. Will there be Panzer rewards for dog holders in the battle pass? Someone yes.
Yeah, so we will have rewards for Battle Pass holders, and not being involved with Battle Pass, there will be a standard progression system as well. We'll have more news on the exact specifics of what this will look like, but obviously it makes a lot. We have to properly plan this stuff out. It's not something that we can decide 100% on within a day, maybe even a week. These things are really complicated, so we'll have more news as it arises and as it settles in stone. Yeah.
Yeah, the same person asks about collabs with other projects using their NFTs as characters in our game. Is there anything we can say about that?
Yeah, I think that that's a very interesting way, uh, as a use case for, let's say, the word metaverse. And I think at some point, a lot of projects want to do that. Same holds for us, and we've always mentioned that this is a perfect way for us to use in-game events, like temporarily in-game events, where you could use another project's NFT, and you could influence maybe a tank or some gameplay mechanics based on other NFTs. I mean, you could already actually see something that we've done with Missile Labs. If you look a little bit back on our timeline on Twitter, you can see a video of loading in a Bored Ape, and then basically your tank is starting to shoot bananas. We have a video of that, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely metaverse stuff, which we would happily be integrating after we have let's say a version 1 of Panzerdogs.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I see another question here. Will there be any team mechanics for friends and opportunities to share dogs among friends?
So in terms of team mechanics, I presume you mean team lobbies and stuff. So you can group up with your friends and play that way. It's something we intend to do. It's a little bit down the line. We have a lot to do before we can get there, but it's something we do intend to do. In terms of opportunities to share dogs among friends, obviously you can't play with play using the same dog at the same time. But we will have methods for players that don't own dogs to be able to play, as well as opportunities to be able to trade amongst people. As well, and we're also looking into options like renting and such as well.
All right. Crispy.
Sorry, David. Are there any questions from the crowd actually?
And just raise your hand if you have something to ask. Not seeing any hands up. presume it's going to be a pretty quiet one this week.
Yeah, maybe if there's one last question from the Discord that we can answer.
I'm going to look around. I'll check the some of the other channels and see if I can find someone saying something. But it doesn't look like it. We've got a good few questions inside of the questions and feedback.
Yeah. In the meantime, if you look at the tweet, is a slight preview of how the garage is going to work.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Yeah. Can't wait to release it. It's going to be sooner than you think, probably. So yeah, check it out. And I think that's it for this week, guys.
Oh, another little remark about that the garage screen. It's quite surprising how fast things move and how fast things change, because it already looks pretty different to how we have there, at least in terms of like the flow and stuff like that. And you know, we change things around quite a lot internally. So is it maybe we should start showing more bits and pieces like this, at least show evolutions of certain screens and stuff. I don't know if that's something that you guys would like. So.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening and asking questions. Also, a reminder that we might not do an AMA every week, but only when we feel we have enough to share with you guys. Yeah, once again, thanks for joining in, and be sure to follow us on Twitter and join our Discord if you haven't already.